there are times in life, I think, that things get put into perspective, things that happen, and you realise actually what's important. And yesterday, the events that unfolded for us West Ham fans and football in general surrounding Michail Antonio just did exactly that. Just puts everything, sort of brings reality home a little bit, really, of how important things are in life. And I've got to be honest, it was. I mean, we were supposed to do a video yesterday. I wouldn't have been able to do it anyway because of what the news was going on, out of respect for what's happening. And to be honest, I was in such a worried state over what happened. So for people that don't know, I'm sure you do. You've only got to go on the news. It's pretty much everywhere now. Michail Antonio was involved in a car accident yesterday. I don't know the details much of it. I've seen photos of the car. It's pretty horrendous, actually. And I've got to be honest, I was fearing the very worst. I think pretty much, I'm sure if you yourself were watching the events unfold as the day was going on, I'm sure you feel the same. I was very worried for the news that was going to come our way. Yeah, it was horrendous, really horrendous day. But yeah, I genuinely thought we were going to lose him. Really did. I thought it was just horrendous. So, but the update was, thank God, was from the club was pretty positive. So turned around and said that he was involved in the accident, taken to hospital, and he's now in a stable condition and communicating. So I think, and thank God, you know what I mean? Thank God he's okay. He's not, you know, but I mean, we don't know the extent of the injuries. Whether he's, you know, I don't want to talk about that really, because I think that's sort of a bit too early to talk about. I just think it's, really tough day. And, you know, as I say, it puts things into perspective, doesn't it? What's important, and, you know, the fact that we're having the season we are having and all this kind of stuff is going on, it just totally becomes irrelevant, really, when someone like one of our own players like that, and I mean anyone, but it's just someone close to your heart. You know, Michail Antonio is a legend of the club, really. You know, nearly 10 years now at West Ham. Really created some amazing moments. God, yeah, it's just a really tough day. Really tough day yesterday, actually. I've got to say. I genuinely thought that we were gonna. I don't know. I couldn't even bear thinking about. Really, it doesn't bear thinking about. But yeah, really tough. So of course, the positive news is that he's all right. He's not succumbed to his injuries. He seems to be in a stable condition, as far as we understand it. As I say, I don't know any more than that. Just praying that he makes a full recovery, and just thinking of his family, his children. Yeah, and obviously every West Ham fan as well, and football fans that are affected by it. I'm certainly affected, as you can probably tell. Yeah, really harrowing experience that was. Just actually, got to say, one of those ones that sort of a bolt out of the blue, wasn't it? Hearing the news and then sort of trying to keep track of what was going on, and yeah, really, yeah. So I've got to be honest. Even this morning, you know, waking up to it and sort of hits you again how serious it was, because I don't know if you haven't seen the photos of the car. Now, again, I haven't all this confirmed. I think it's all correct of what I've seen online, but I don't know for certain. But if that is his car, which I believe it to be, the silver car, I don't know what the manufacturer is, to be honest. It's pretty horrific. It's quite surprising he's actually managed to come out of that car. So of course, you know, it's, as I say, it kind of makes doing these videos and stuff like that on the channel just kind of pointless, really, in a way. You know, when you see things like this, because you just think it's, when we're talking about a football match, which is just now so irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, you know. But I do want to carry on. I do want to do what's right in terms of this channel, and we're football fans and we're a football channel, and we've got a match to talk about, and I'm going to talk about it. But yeah, that was a really tough day for everyone at West Ham and the club. I know that, you know, we're very worried, and to be honest, I still am. I'm pretty worried about the state of Antonio. I don't know, obviously, the extent of the injuries, but yeah, he's just lucky to be alive. I think that's the way to look at it, and that's the positive, obviously, to try and draw from all of this, is that he's still alive, and I think that's what you got to try and take from it. Oh dear, didn't realise this would be so hard to do, to be honest. But yeah, this is yeah, really strange time at the moment. Really strange day, obviously. But I say I do want to talk about the football. I do want to go and talk about Wolves and West Ham because it's a big game, and we've got a lot riding on this in terms of the season. It's a season that's just been horrendous for West Ham so far. It really feels like we have taken some significant steps backwards. There's so much unrest at the club, but as I say, Antonio's what's happened with him has really put things in perspective, of course. But I still want to talk about them. I do want to try and do a preview of the game properly, and do it as though as it should be done. Things we do need to move forward with this, but it's obviously, as you can tell, back in my mind is just thinking about Antonio and his family and all of his loved ones, and and anyone else out there watching. If you're watching this and you're with me and feeling quite sad about what's happened and quite emotional and quite shell shocked, to be honest, of what's happened, then feel free to comment because it's what we're all here for. It's really, really tough. All right. But that's all I wanted to say on Antonio, and we will obviously come back with more as sort of more information comes forward and we understand what's going on. I don't want to talk about his injuries, as I say, because I don't really know enough. Broken legs, I believe. I don't really know. I don't know. I don't know the extent of the injuries and how serious they are. But at the moment, I'm more just relieved. Just feel like, oh God, I was expecting it news to be far worse. Than just he'd be injured. So I just hope that he makes a full recovery. Right. Let's talk about Wolves before we talk about West Ham. Wolverhampton Wanderers, are a club that are a bit like West Ham this season. Complete crisis. I'm struggling to, because I'm an outsider looking in. So if you're a Wolves fan watching this, you're probably going to be thinking, well, we know what's going on, and they will know far more than I do, absolutely, and rightly so. An outsider looking in, it's probably quite similar to how many see West Ham, I would say. A club that have got good quality players in the side. A pretty decent manager, I would go so far as saying Gary O'Neill. In terms of what he's done previously, he obviously did well at Bournemouth. I think he's done well since he's been at Wolves. Been all right. I appreciate, as I say, Wolves fans probably watching this go, no, we want him out, or they might agree with me. I don't know, but I'm just saying this from a West Ham perspective, looking in. It just looks like a club that are really struggling at the moment, and they just need that kind of spark and to get them up and running and going. But it's hard to see at the moment when that's going to happen. And as I say, that I kind of feel similarities with West Ham. It feels a bit like that. Every time I watch Wolves, I think, look at the quality they've got in this side. They're going to get going. They're going to get playing. And I watched them in the Everton defeat last week, 4-0. It's a horrendous result. And they were really poor. It's hard to, and I can't quite decipher it because with West Ham, I can kind of see that there's a problem when it comes to the head coach and the players. You can just sense there's an issue there. But with the Wolves one, it's quite strange because it looks like they're quite together. They're quite behind the boss. It feels that way anyway, when the way he's communicating with his players at the end of the game, they're all hugging each other and stuff. It's hard to sort of understand what's going wrong, really. But there's clearly a change needed at the club, I think. Gary O'Neill, I feel like is a manager that is on the verge of being to be sacked. I feel like he's on that path now. I don't really see him staying there too much longer. But let's get this straight. I think they'll be looking at this game, Wolves, and thinking this is the perfect fixture. They'll be looking at West Ham thinking, well, this is a game that we can play, get points against a team that are so vulnerable at the moment, so unpredictable, so inconsistent. We've got a lot of tension at the club at the moment, not just with Lopetegui. It's with it goes right to the top to David Sullivan. There is a real kind of edgy feel to everything at the moment. I feel like it's teetering on the brink. People are getting very frustrated with the way things are being run, and because the last week at West Ham has been an absolute shambles. Football side of things, of course, with other stuff we've got going on now as well, but it's a toxic environment, West Ham. It really is at the moment. It really is. And I'd generally be thinking, if I'm Wolves and Gary O'Neill, this is a great opportunity. If we can get some points, this is the sort of perfect game for us. It's a strange one. As I say, for me with Wolves, they're doing worse than I expected this season. I've got to be honest. I didn't see them as being a side that were going to be around the bottom. I thought they would be mid-table pretty much all season. I'm not saying they can't get out of it. I feel like they can. I don't think they're going to go down either. I think they've got too much quality in the side. I think they'll just have enough to get themselves through it. But yeah, it's I do feel with Wolves, when you think back to a few years back, when they've sort of their recruitment process, the way they've been bringing in that sort of Portuguese market, they seem to have a real good system. And it was Mendes, wasn't he, involved as well, the agent, and it felt like they had a real structure of where they were going to go and do things, and it was working pretty well. I don't know what's happened. It feels, I don't know whether they've lost interest or I don't know. Something's lacking now. It feels like maybe the ownership may taking their eye off the ball. I don't know. It's really hard to say as I say, from an outsider looking in, but there's something not right there at the moment. They're certainly, as I say, they look like West Ham. And by the way, I really want to make this very clear. This isn't something that I'm trying to say, oh yeah, we're not like. I see it as same as West Ham. It feels like a club in decline. Actually, they're going backwards, and it feels like it's fixable though. You know what I mean? Like again, like with West Ham, you look at the squad, you think, well, there's some good players here, some really good players. You just need a few things to get sorted, tweak a few things in the team, bring the right couple of players in, and the right maybe leader in terms of on the pitch side of things. You know, a new head coach, whatever. And things can improve pretty quickly. And I do feel like that way with West Ham, and I do feel that way about Wolves, actually. Which is sad to say with Gary O'Neill, because I really do like Gary. I think he's a good guy, and I really, really like how he handles the press and everything else, and he just seems like a really decent bloke. But as I say, that's why I'm quite surprised this season with Wolves. I wasn't really expecting this. They're like West Ham again in terms of the too good to go down feeling. That's kind of hanging over them. We've got too many good players. We should be able to get out of it. I think that's dangerous as well to have that mindset. We've done that. I talked about it previously. The 2003 time we got relegated, it felt that we took our eye off the ball there, and the whole mindset of it's too good to go down. So yeah, it's a strange time for Wolves, and no doubt a stressful one for their fans, much like we're experiencing. So it's a really interesting, well, it's an interesting game. I feel like it's both sets of fans are going into this quite downtrodden and quite exhausted with the season so far, and probably quite fearful of where things are going to end up, really. So there's certainly a lot of similarities going into this one. Couple of players though before we move on to talk about West Ham. Cunha, of course, I think 7 goals this season for Wolves. He's been in great form, great player. Strand Larson, I like, obviously, and they've got to talk about. I've mentioned Craig Dawson, of course, as well. Obviously, coming to the latter years now, one of his career, but wonderful memories of him at West Ham, and really sad for him to go. I hated the fact he had to leave, but it was the right thing for the club. I think they actually handled that pretty well in terms of Dawson. He wanted to leave because of family reasons, and like we talked about earlier with Antonio, what's important in life, and I'm glad that West Ham have dealt with that the way they did, and yeah, so I'm really just pleased for him, and of course he'll always get a brilliant reception at West Ham. Before I want to talk about West Ham, though, I just want to say that we are sponsored by Firebook, our new sponsor for this channel. Basically, I'm one of these people, right? Like, I like to dress and keep it quite plain and simple, keep it quite easy, right? And I don't like to have too many jazzy things I wear. Things like this, nice and simple, clean and tidy. But what you get with Firebox, not only do you get that sort of clean and tidy, straightforward, simple image I like to clothing, but it's comfortable. Do you know what I mean? It's like walking around wearing like stuff you'd wear indoors. I mean, it's really warm and soft, and it fits lovely. It really is top drawer stuff. So go and check out the link in the description below. We've got a 20% discount with that with the code West Ham Way. So do click on that and make sure you use the link. We've had quite a few orders already, which has been fantastic. So I really appreciate it using that link, because it gives us a little pat on the head from them as well to know that we're bringing them customers, etc. So no, we really do appreciate it. But Firebook are honestly really top drawer stuff. And as I say, if you're that sort of person like me, you like to look smart and tidy, but also like to feel comfortable, then this is the brand for you. Go and check it out. As I say, it's the link in the description below and the code West Ham Way for a 20% discount. It's been an awful week for West Ham. This has been a really, tough time for the football club. It's been a tough season so far, with so much promise that seems to have gone out the window now. It's gone from a season of hoping and looking up and wondering where our new regime would take us, to now it's looking down and fear and wondering where this regime is taking us, which could well be the Championship. Not to say that at the moment that's where we're going, but you know what I mean? It's just season it's just been so bleak, and the handling of this whole Lopetegui stuff has been shocking. And added to that, of course, now we've got the whole club has been totally rocked by what's happened with Michail Antonio, of course, which is just so horrendous and so sad and awful for him and his family. And and everyone at the club. It's been real, put things into perspective, as I say, it really has. Obviously, it's just going to be a huge loss as well, isn't it? Having no Antonio now, which we don't know how long for, we have no idea. So huge blow for that in that regard. And as I say, the handling of Lopetegui this week from the football club has been absolutely shocking, to be honest. I actually feel for Lopetegui. I'm going to be honest now. I've gone past the point of getting angry with him, and I don't get me wrong, I've been angry towards him in terms of his approach to matches and the tactics and all the stuff I've been so baffled by. But I feel like I actually do feel for the way he is being treated. You've only got to watch the press conference, to be honest, to see what this is doing to him, this job. He looks like an absolute broken man and really struggling at the moment, and it's just awful to see. And I just feel like the way the club are dragging this out, this another game, and no real clear picture of what's going on. And it's just not nice. It's not nice at all. And the leaking of news and constant leaking of news that he's had ever really since he's walked through the door, that the club weren't happy with him. Sim Stighton's obviously not a fan. I've just, do you know what? It's just been draining. And I feel like when it comes to Lopetegui, sacking him is for his benefit. I'm starting to feel with West Ham, whether it's an environment fit for certain people, and when I say certain people, like lots of certain people, whether they can survive at this football club, because you've only got to look at how some of the managers have been treated over the years, and the way that they leave and how they handle things. I mean, there's certain big characters. David Moyes is a big character in terms of he's quite a tough bloke, tough Scotsman. I think he could handle the rubbish from Brady and Sullivan. I feel like he kind of handled that all right. I've got the feeling that probably Allardyce handled it all right. I think he just sort of didn't touch them. He didn't really like them. He was quite a tough block guy. But then you only got to look at the likes of Slaven Bilic, a really sort of like a more softer soul, who just looked broken when he left West Ham. Do you know what I mean? And even I remember that I think Sullivan and Brady said that he was like nearly in tears at the meeting. He was so broken. He's probably just broken from working at West Ham. And I'm just looking at Lopetegui. I just look at that. He looks the same. He just looks totally void. As I say, and I appreciate. I'm not trying to say that's the reason he's failing. I feel like we've picked the wrong guy for the job. But you can just see this week how he looks, and yeah, awful. I really do. It feels a tough time for him. It really is, and it's really hard at the moment, isn't it, to draw some positivity out of West Ham. I don't know what the reaction is going to be now to what's happened with Antonio, of course, whether that's going to spark something in the team to want to react and to want to do things for him. Possibly so. Maybe that will maybe it will have that effect. It might have a positive effect on the club and on the pitch, maybe a bit of unity, pull people together. A bit of a reminder of what's important. Because I can imagine, if I'm feeling the way I'm feeling, I'd like to know, I can't imagine how sorry other people are feeling. Like to Bowen and people that have known him for a long time, Aaron Creswell, of course, long time Lucas Fabianski, these long-serving players, not even players that are new, but obviously academy lads that know. Antonio's a part of the furniture at West Ham. He's been around a long time, so it's going to be interesting to see actually how this all unfolds, in terms of what effect it's going to have on West Ham, because I feel like it will have an effect. It's certainly have an effect on me. It's certainly have an effect, I'm sure, on yourselves, and so yeah. But with regards to Lopetegui, I do feel for him. I feel like this is his last game. Unless West Ham win, of course, and comfortably win, it might buy them a bit more time. But I hate living like this. I just can't stand this game by game stuff. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. It really doesn't. It's ridiculous, really poor. And then we need to talk as well about the Todibo situation. The rumours are, well, I say the rumours, it's not rumours, it's pretty factual that there has been a serious fallout between the defender, Todibo, and Lopetegui. It happened at half-time against Arsenal. So much so, apparently got physical. Again, don't know too many details on it. But it's horrendous. It's just absolutely horrendous. New summer signing of one that was regarded as one of our marquee signings, now being told he won't play for the club again under Lopetegui. I mean, all eyes are going to be, obviously the Antonio situation is the big story here, but it'd be interesting to see what happens there with Todibo and whether he's involved because Lopetegui's kind of brushed it off. No, it's not a problem. It's fine. And so I think they're going to try and go down the notion that they've kissed and made up. Maybe they have, but it's hard, isn't it? It's a hard one to kiss and make up over. Imagine, having a punch up at someone at work and the next day, we're all right now. I don't know. It just seems a bit, I'm struggling with that one. I really am. I don't know what's going to happen there. But again, it's another mark against Lopetegui's name. The whole thing is just a mess. I just wish the club would just cut ties, just do the right thing, put him out of his misery and bring in someone new and to get this team playing. I don't know what we're waiting on, really. It feels like this is probably likely to be his last game, but you just don't know with West Ham at the moment. It's really difficult to say. It's almost one of those now where I don't know what a good result is for us here. Obviously, you want West Ham to win, but then if we win, then they drag on longer with Lopetegui. I'll tell you what, we'll give you the Bournemouth game now, but if you lose that, then you're sacked. Well, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just going to keep plodding along like this. And then what, we lose and they sack him, but then West Ham have lost, and then it's a big game to lose. So, there's that downside. And then you draw, then what does a draw do? A draw, a terrible result for both sides, but then what, we give Lopetegui a bit more time. This is what the club are creating, because their lack of indecision. I've talked about this for years. I've talked about it for such a long time and said about this indecision from this football club always catches up with us all the time. When you got to look at the stadium, how poorly we've handled that situation and continue to do so. Everything just feels like it's indecision. We don't, when we go to buy players, it's indecision. John Duran, we're not sure. It's like it's a lack of decisiveness of this club at times, and it feels like that is what we've got here. Let's talk about the team news. Of course, no Michail Antonio, obviously, and which is on a personal and normal human level is horrendously sad and really awful and worrying and all that kind of stuff. And on a football side, it's a real big blow as well. Michail Antonio is such a vital player for us, and has been for so many years, and we rely on him too often. Really, we're always leaning towards him, aren't we, to get us out of messes and to fill the void and to be our main striker, and has been now for quite a few years. So it's a major blow. Of course, the positive is that we've got Nicholas Füllkrug back in fitness, and obviously scored his first goal against Leicester, which was hopefully a bit of a sign of things to come with him, that he's going to start banging some goals in for us. He's going to need it. So at least there's that. So, but apart from that, I think everyone's available apart from Antonio, as far as I understand it. So I'm going to do the team and do the prediction. I'd like to know your thoughts on the game. Of course, just share your thoughts on everything. And obviously, I know this is a bit of an emotional time. So, feel free to talk about that as well, because I think it's all important that we do. This is my team. I feel like it's kind of an obvious one. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm going for. So I'm going to say Fabianski in goal. I actually think he's been all right for us, Fabianski, this season. I think he's been okay on the grand scheme of it. I still think we need a new goalkeeper in the summer. Absolutely paramount. It's important. Areola, for me, is not good enough. But yeah, Fabianski's been okay, and I think he will suffice for this rest of the season as our number one keeper. Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right back. Todibo and Kilman I'm playing. I'm assuming Todibo will play. I think if Todibo's out of the squad, then that is not going to look good at all. I think he has to. If Lopetegui wants to save his job, if that's his desire, and apparently that's what we've been told, that he pleaded with the club to give him more time, to give him this game. So he's got to sort these things out. If he's having fallouts with players and they're not playing in the squad because of these fallouts, then it's no good. That's not good. It's just that's terrible. The club are going to look at this and go, a £40 million defender's not playing. He's not in the squad. He's training with kids. That's not good on you, mate. You need to get this sorted out. So I imagine if he's got any sense, he will have to shake hands with Todibo and say, look, we've got to draw a line. We've got to move forward. If they have or haven't already, the club are sort of suggesting they have. I mean, as I say, he's played it down. But anyway, Todibo for me, partner and Kilman and Emerson at left back. Midfield, I'm going to go for the three that have worked, and we've seen it work, as we saw against Newcastle. I know it hasn't really worked since, but I feel like that's the only way I'm going to go with this. I'm going to have Soler, Paqueta and Souček. So Soler and Paqueta as the midfield pairing, with Souček operating as the kind of the front guy, but also doing the defensive work as well. They sort of rotate the three of them. It worked really well against Newcastle. I just want to see that sort of resurrect, really. I'm putting Jared Bowen out on the right. I'm having Crescentia Somerville out on the left. I hate the fact he kept getting dropped, Somerville. I really don't like it. I think, again, it's another pathetic thing from the manager to keep dropping a player that's been decent for us. One of our bright sparks this season. I just don't like the fact he can feel like he's always the full guy. And I put Mohamed Kudus in for Antonio. As much as I think Füllkrug I'm pleased with that. He got his goal. He's only just come back from injury. I feel like, and I want to see Kudus play, and he needs to be given that central role. He needs to be given it a chance. I want to see how that looks, and I think that'll give us a bit of pace up front with those three: Bowen, Kudus, and Somerville. In terms of the scoreline prediction, I'm going to say 1-1. I feel like it's going to be a draw, which won't be good, as I say, for either side. I think like a draw will probably see him go anyway. I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it, with West Ham? It's really difficult scenario to predict. But look, I appreciate this has been a bit of a, not the most optimistic and happy of videos. I'm trying to be as best I can. Obviously, with the situation with Antonio, it's been very tough. But look, it's just. I just want West Ham to do Antonio proud, go out there and play well. I'm sure the fans will. And let's see how things go. And fingers crossed we get some more positive news of Antonio and his recovery, because, it's been a tough day for everyone. Come on, you irons.